Hey friends, this is Jeff. Got a lot of great things coming your way. First, our new book is up and available in print or on Kindle, only at Amazon.com. Friends, we debuted and have held as the #1 new personality typing book on the site. We have held that position for 3 weeks. Thank you to those of you who grabbed a book, and we're very thankful for all of your feedback. Second, we're stepping things up in July and August at aroundthecircle.org. We will be filming and posting the remainder of our first Enneagram College course. We will begin doing monthly Zoom workshops with amazing guests, and we're going to continue our Mistyping interview series there. Membership for all of this, as well as getting our full 10-hour audiobook. And there's over 25 extra hours of content from interviews that's there. This is only $20 a month for members. However, if you sign up for an annual membership, we're going to send you a book autographed and inscribed by both TJ and I as a huge thank you. Plus, you or someone you love can choose a live mistyping interview like the ones that we've been posting, or a 1-hour coaching Q&A session focused on you, your type, and relationships. So if you're interested in all of that, go to aroundthecircle.org. Incredibly grateful for all of you. As always, may all good things be yours. Hey friends, it's Jeff. This is another Mistyping conversation. We're here with Brenden, who's from Ohio, and I am just getting a chance to meet Brenden. Welcome. I'm thrilled that you've connected with us.
Me too. It's great to meet you.
Tell me some things about yourself.
So I live in Dayton, Ohio. I work in pediatrics. I'm a senior director of operations at our children's hospital here. I spent the first half of my life as a dancer and in the arts, and thought that is what I was going to do, was going to become a ballet dancer, and was training very seriously to do that. I got injured and ended up needing a job with insurance, and started as a receptionist at a doctor's office and kept going from there over all these years. So I live in a historic home with my husband Mark and our dog Jax. That's kind of me in a nutshell.
That's quite a climb from being a dancer to the director. Sorry, the director of
general pediatrics. Yeah, general pediatrics. It's all our primary care work. Yeah.
How many folks work under you then?
A great deal, probably upwards of 100. I have direct managers that are accountable and leading the teams in the clinic, but about 4 managers total. Yeah.
That's fantastic. How long have you been working at the hospital you're presently at?
5 years. So it'll be 6 years in December. So about 5.5 years now. Yeah.
Nice. You live in a historic home.
I do. Yeah, from 1901. So
come on.
Our one before was from 1870. So this was a little step up, I guess.
A newer model, apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your favorite thing about your historic home?
This one in particular, I like that the previous owners did not remove many of the historic features. So there's a lot of dark wood, and then, as you can see, we have a very dark and moody home in general, so the lighting can be a little dark sometimes. But yeah, I think that it's, original staircases and trim and floors and handles and all of those pieces, I think is what I like the most. And we're the 4th family to live here since it's been built, and I think that's really cool.
Oh, wow.
As well. Yeah.
So the people move in and they stay.
It's fun. There's always something to do in a historic house, but it's also a lot of fun to be a part of that. Caretaking of something historic is nice. I like that.
Well, that's perfect. Well, to jump into this, how long have you been doing Enneagram work?
So I was introduced to the Enneagram probably about a year ago. My sister-in-law Maggie started talking about it, and then my friend Sarah, Katie's mom, started talking about it as well, kind of at the same time. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. I'll take a test. And so I took one of the free tests, and it came up that I was an 8. And at first, I wasn't sure how I felt about that, because everything that I read just based off of that was about the challenger concept, and that didn't feel good to me to kind of read the negative parts of an 8. But as I thought more about it, we are really into the DISC assessment at work, and I come up as a high D of dominance on the DISC scale every time I do that assessment. And I thought, okay, well, I guess this makes sense. I can have kind of an aggressive personality type. I can have kind of a very dominant stance, not in the way that Enneagram uses stance, but just in my presentation. And the DISC says that I'm dominant, so sure, I'm an 8, and just kind of stuck with that at a surface level and didn't go much more beyond that until I went to a typing workshop that Katie Whitlock led, and that really opened my eyes to where I think I really am as a six.
I imagine because I mean you're in a fairly impressive leadership position,
Thanks.
having to make decisions, hard decisions. I imagine it's a real part of your job. Yeah.
It is. I think as I learn more about myself within this context, I can really see where I have challenges in making some really hard decisions. So I
Mm-hmm.
have a trusted few that are very important to me that I almost always have to bounce kind of my decision making off of before I can make a final decision because I'm constantly thinking and thinking about every scenario that could come out of that decision and kind of need to gut check before I make it. I also tend to stay within kind of the rules of what the folks higher than me, so our senior leadership team or my boss, expects. And that's where I really kind of latched on to this concept of safety and security and a sixness. And if I stay within those parameters, then I know what to do and I know that me and my teams will be safe and secure. So I kind of operate in that way. Leadership is harder, I think, probably because I have some of those doubts and that I need to spend a great deal of time kind of churning through my feelings that I attach to thoughts and gut checking with others. But it's a role that I love to do for sure. I'm
Yeah.
very community driven, and so this gives me an opportunity in my mind to really be able to influence what community family members and particularly youth in my community experience as part of their healthcare journey. And so I kind of stay connected to it for that reason.
That's an excellent answer. Just talk about your job for a minute.
Sure.
What are some of the main values that you feel you bring to your hospital, to your team, to the people that you serve?
I'm a very mission focused person. Our mission is the relentless pursuit of optimal health for every child within our reach, and that really deeply resonates with me. I have to feel like I can be connected to the larger picture to be bought in, and I do very much within the hospital that I work in. So I think a lot of my I approach a lot of my work through that context of how is this going to impact the family members and the children that we have within our care, keeping in mind the goal of optimal health. I, again, kind of stay within the kind of guardrails and rules of the road in terms of what we have from a deliverable perspective. I'm goal oriented in that sense of, okay, here are the metrics that we need to hit. Here's the focus areas that we need to be concentrated on. And can, at times, and probably to the frustration of others, limit the conversation because I get stuck in that, well, this is what it is that we need to do type of mode. I care very deeply about my teams, although I don't know that they always feel it because I have a hard time, I believe, connecting to others until I am certain that I can trust them and have a kind of open and trusting relationship with them. And so I think there are times where my team probably feels I'm a little bit more reserved, but I do care very deeply. And I think that I bring that on some level to my work.
Perfect. Talk about trusting others. What are some of the things that you're really looking for? Like, how do you know if you trust a person?
I think that I will at times push folks a little bit. I can definitely be like a contrarian, and I think I will push a little bit to make sure that you're on my side and you're on my team. I will often seek that external piece of validation and want to know that I am heard and understood and at least a minimum respected for where I stand on issues, even if we disagree. And I will test up against that. So, can you validate my feelings? Can you validate my position on something genuinely? And if we can at least start at that point, then I feel safe enough to open up a relationship of trust. I've been burned a lot doing that too, giving myself up kind of to others, opening myself up to that kind of vulnerability piece, I guess. But it's where I start from is kind of
Yeah,
testing the relationship first.
that's perfect. You're married to Mark. Tell me
Yeah,
about your relationship with Mark.
it's great. So we've been together 7 years, married 3 now. I don't know what his Enneagram number is. I have
That's
guesses, but
fine.
I don't want to do that. So he grounds me when I am around him, he is able to calm everything that's kind of going on in my mind, because it is a constant churning of taking in information and attaching feelings to it constantly. And when I'm with him, I don't feel like I do that quite as much. So he calms me and grounds me. He's funny and kind and probably the most genuine and generous person I've come across, and he's just the best.
It's perfect. I love the idea of having somebody in your life that's a calming presence. Do
Yeah.
you find that you connect with people who have that quality, or is Mark kind of singular?
No, I do. As I think across my friend group, which is small, I think I'm a very social person. And so there's a large group of folks in my life that I feel connected to. But when I think across like my immediate friend group, it's very small. Most everybody, not their role in the friendship, but a piece of that is that they offer me that sense of that I'm just like I can be still and I'm stable with them. I want to sit around a dinner table or sit around a bonfire and talk about the world all night long with them, and I'm okay to do that. So it's a yeah, I think that that's definitely what I look for and the relationships that are most important to me.
That's excellent. Excellent answer. Do you find that you need other people's attention? Is that a high value for you?
I don't know that I need attention as much as I need to know that I'm cared for. Like I
Yeah,
don't
good
want to be
distinction.
smothered or overly mothered for that
Sure.
point, but I want to know that the care is there and the security and support is there. I do get very nervous kind of in public spaces where attention is put on me. So like
Hmm.
praise I don't do well with kind of publicly. I kind of shudder in a little bit. I had a great deal of doubt in myself, even getting ready for this kind of conversation, right? Like, am I the right person to have this conversation, or do
Sure.
people really want to know what I have to say? So I don't seek attention in that way.
In places that you feel like you're an expert, do you have any problem speaking
No,
authoritatively?
no, not at all.
What, what's an example of that?
Yeah, so I teach still dance occasionally at a studio here,
Oh, sure.
and I often describe that as like the place that I can just walk into and know exactly what it is that I'm doing and feel it in my body and not have a single bit of concern. I don't have to put a class ahead of time, like together ahead of time. I just walk in the room and I know what it is to do. Yeah, I feel that way. I'm a really fierce advocate for LGBTQ youth, and particularly now, and what's all that they are facing in our country. And into those spaces of advocacy, I feel really secure in myself and
Yeah.
confident.
There's a through line there in terms of caring for queer kids, but also looking out for the kids that you serve
Hmm.
in
Yeah.
terms of health. Why kids? Why is this on your radar most in terms of where
Um,
you want to devote your life?
I think because they have the most to offer the world right now, and not just right now, in general, right? Like they, not to sound cliche, but they are our future and they
Yeah.
are the ones who we are gonna rely on to make things better. So I feel a kind of loyalty to them in that sense. I think I had to build very early in my life a sense of resilience, and armor, which is what I also connected to in innate first, was that sense of having to armor up. And I want to be a protector of those who are more vulnerable and ensure the best for them. And I think that it is the natural that I find a connection to the younger population in that sense.
Yeah. Is any of the protectiveness that you embody, does it ever feel very aggressive to you, or is most of your protectiveness come out in terms of creating spaces where the kids are gonna, be cared for
Um,
in both ways?
I guess a little of both. I think again, back to that kind of drive and passion, I think that can come through very aggressively. I think when I get on a topic that I'm really passionate about, or I'm really certain of what needs to happen in that protective mode, my energy can be really hard to match. And I think I've gotten the feedback it's a little intimidating for others because it just is hard to get in that space with me. I have to be really mindful. Kristen Masigi says this in one of her podcasts that with being a six, like everything comes out of you sideways. And so you're constantly trying to be dialed in so that it doesn't come out of you sideways. And I
Yeah.
feel that quite often. So I don't know if it's aggressiveness, it could be received that way probably, but it's not intended to be that way.
Right. In terms of the drive that other people feel, it feels like you actually care about other people's emotions
I
in
do.
those situations. Yeah.
I do. And then often worry, not often, almost always worry about where I might have misstepped and my inability to control an emotional response and then hurt someone as a result of that.
Yeah.
So I'll be really quick in the moment and then be in my head for days on end afterwards about a situation, and often find myself going back to make sure we're okay. So that yeah,
All of
okay,
that's
okay.
fantastic. I would love to land and just say, I think you're spot on in thinking that you found your type in moving away from 8 to 6. The passion that you have for others can be something that 8s have. It feels like their well-being and their emotional life end up being primary for you. But even how you get there, it doesn't sound like you're willing to run over people in order to protect the vulnerable. It sounds like you are emotionally aware as you're even being driven, protective, assertive, that you still are aware of your own emotions and the emotions of others, I assume. Is that
I
correct?
try to be. I try to be.
Right?
I don't think I'm 100% successful all of the time. But when I am really dialed in, and I have to be very intentional about being dialed in, then I think I am more aware. I do get stuck often putting like theory into practice in that way. I will get kind of paralyzed by my own thoughts, or I know the right thing to do, or I know the better kind of style to have communication wise, but then I kind of get paralyzed in my doubtfulness in my ability to do that, and can get lost at times in conversations in a way that again I have to go back and fix
Yeah.
sometimes. So
All of that sounds again very much in line with how 6s receive the world and engage the world. I don't know that I would envision an 8 ever saying that they feel paralyzed in their thoughts, but that can be both you and I. So I'm an Enneagram 1. Both of us can have a difficult time doing productive thinking
right,
at times, and
yeah,
the emotion action oriented side of us can really be what's forefront.
yeah,
And so I hear that in your language there. The desire for somebody to be a calming presence in your life as your person. 8s certainly can desire that sort of person, but I don't know that they would describe it as what I want most is the calming presence. I think when connected to a person with those sorts of attributes, I think they would phrase it more like, I like this, that this person, allows me to slow down, creates some space for me, and it would be characterized that way.
so
The
is it like the kind of more dominant side of both a 6 and an 8 that then causes the mistype? Like I just was so
can
interested
be.
that like
Yeah.
I took a free test and got an 8, and then I did the ready and got a 8 was my top, and then 2 and 6 kind of right together. So just still trying to understand how that mistyping can happen.
Yeah. Let me go down that road, and actually, I would love to walk through our mistyping chart with you if you're interested. But you
Sure.
may see at least where we come down in terms of the distinctions
Yeah,
between the
I have
two.
it right here.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful.
Great book, by the way.
Thank
So,
you.
congratulations.
No, I appreciate that a ton. So, 6s and 8s are going to solve problems similarly, which is going to be with a lot of emotion, passion. Who's on my team? Who can I rely on? Who's trustworthy? because of your job and because it sounds like you're a high capacity person. Like there's people who lead a handful of doctors, but then there's people who can lead the leaders of a handful of doctors, and that strikes me as having next level aptitudes that may come out in your self understanding. And if somebody was saying, "Are you a leader or are you a follower?" you might say, "Well, of course I'm a leader." And it would be, I assume it would be those sorts of questions that may gear toward, as tests go, more towards identifying you as an 8.
Sure.
But and sometimes, in males in particular, if you're more of a person who's most comfortable in one-on-one relationships, in Enneagram language, this can be called a counterphobic 6. And I don't know if you've heard this term yet.
Yeah.
So the idea being that some of the energy in the 6, the distrust of self, gets translated not as cowardice, but moves more into this reckless kind of movement and energy. So I don't know if you see that in yourself in terms of, would you ever describe yourself as being more reckless? But that can be
Yeah.
similar to 8s.
Yeah, when I'm panicked, for sure. Like
Yeah.
when I am at my worst, unhealthiest, and my more prominent spaces of just being panicked and unsure, yeah, I can definitely see some recklessness in there. And for a long time, I'm 8 years sober, and so I'd attach that to a big part of my identity as well. But
Yeah.
for a long time, used alcohol to kind of calm that part of myself, to kind of numb the anxiety and things that I would feel that would cause me to be reckless. Now I was being reckless on the other side of that, right? In terms of
Right.
the reliance on something else. But yeah.
And some tests, as you're describing this, some tests, it may come across more, they just, unconsciously focus on behavior a little bit more than they probably should. And that can come out in some of our answers as we're trying. But it sounds like you're very self-aware. And as you're describing your inner life, it's really lining up for me in terms of, that idea that 6ness would probably describe you better. So I would love to walk through these.
Sure.
Some of the, as we walk through, our mistyping chart, I imagine some of the distinctions are going to really, we'll be able to see why the 8 may have come out in your language. But yeah, if you have this, it's on
Yeah,
page
yeah.
302, which, or 3, no, we're
305.
on the wrong page. Thank you.
Good. Yeah.
You've already mentioned safety and security, but a primary for 6s is just wanting to feel safe. And for 8s, there's more of a control element at play. 8s often want to feel strong in that autonomy oriented way. Does one of those hit you more?
Yeah, now that I understand it more, definitely wanting to feel safe is at my core. But there is still this desire to feel strong, right? I don't think it
Yeah.
is around autonomy, though it is about strength and security. Like
Yeah.
I want to know that I can, and this takes me a lot to get to, but I want to know that I can handle the situation and I can have faith in myself to do that and stand strong in that way. So maybe that's where some of that got confused too, around the
Yeah.
language of strength and the motivation behind the strength.
I think that's very well said. And I think you're putting your thumb on exactly why that might come out in a test. Tests
Okay.
can be kind of coin flips, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So much better to get a newly published book that's got this great mistyping
Yeah.
chart in the back.
Yes,
And
yeah, absolutely.
6s, to move on, like 6s often question authority. 8s often assert their authority. As I'm saying it, I could see this going both ways, but does one pull you one way or the other?
I think it's situational. I think there are times where I will assert authority, but again, through the desire of, if we do this, we'll be okay. If
Mm-hmm.
we do this, X will happen, type of thing. And I will, once I feel like I can trust someone or an authority figure, then I give my loyalty up like 100%. You've got me, and I will
Yeah.
do what you tell me to do until that starts going sideways. And then I can key in on that pretty quickly, and then I will start questioning authority or becoming really skeptical of that particular authority figure or system or whatever it might be.
It's Perfectly said. 6 is often planned to prevent danger. 8s often act to eliminate the danger.
I had a coworker who was at Katie's workshop with me when she said, "Hey, I think you need to start looking at a 6." And she said that because in the Q&A, I asked a question. I said, "Can you talk about insecurity in an 8?" And she's like, "What do you mean an insecurity in an 8?" And I told her a story, and after the story, she's like, "I think you need to look at 6." But the colleague that I had that was also there pointed out that in a lot of conversations, I am looking for and where things can go wrong and how we get ahead of making sure that thing does not go wrong early on, which again can cause a great deal of frustration for people because it may feel like I'm digging in a little bit, but I'm not trying to dig in. I'm trying to prevent something in the future from happening.
Yeah. All of your answers are fantastic. There's no reason to think I don't know that I would lean towards 8 at all. And as you're going through this, I'm like, I can totally see why there would be a mistype here, because a lot of times 8s are acting to ensure that they don't feel vulnerable in the future. And it's just a slight difference, but it's worth noting.
Yeah.
6s can often react with doubt, whereas 8s can react with force. Do you resonate with either of those?
Doubt, for sure. I struggle with doubt, but then I will to get myself through it, then become forceful, and that's where I can get reckless and just
Yes.
I'm just gonna slam through this and get rid of my doubt and make it happen, and I then am not in tune with everybody and everything that's around me, and that can create liability for me in many situations. But it is at its core trying to push through the doubt
Yeah.
and not
And
knowing
this
how to
is,
do that. So the only way I know how to do that is to push through. So,
again, perfectly said. I don't know that an 8 is ever going to say, I need to know how to push through
okay.
this,
Okay.
because they're
Just
so fascinating. Of course, I'm going to just do this. But again, the behavior may come across as real similar. The idea that, yeah, what is the motive behind why you're moving with a lot of energy is really what matters. In terms of Enneagram, you're really trying to point your finger at the motive there.
yeah.
And you're saying that beautifully. So
Thank you.
6s often move cautiously, whereas 8s move decisively.
Again, I think it's situational, and
Yeah, true. Great.
yeah, and what question I'm trying to answer or what problem I'm trying to solve for, and where my level of confidence is and my ability to tackle that on my own will determine where I fall in that space.
You're you're really helping me see how this chart can be
Okay.
really helpful, and may not be as helpful as I hope it would be if somebody was just reading it by
Oh,
themselves.
geez. Okay.
But it's as you're responding to the prompts that the flavors really come out.
Yeah.
And in terms of how you think of caution and decisiveness in your own experience. So
Yeah.
again, it feels like it's just a very 6 oriented answer, the sort of answer that would come out of the heart of 6. And yet you're able to say, I can see why I would land in both columns.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's times where I really feel like I oscillate between that phobic and counterphobic space. And that's why like I have my notes from Katie's workshop when talking about 6, and I took tons of notes, but I didn't connect with it because I didn't connect to that sense of fear. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel like a fearful person. And so I just didn't think about it, but I am in August having a pretty major surgery, a total pancreatectomy. So it's a big deal. They take my pancreas and my spleen and my duodenum, and it's a 12-hour surgery. And that I am terrified of, and am just in like worst case scenario planning with that, and the fear of that is overwhelming. And other situations then, so I've been like on a feeding tube for a past year, and I've just pushed through that. I wake up every morning, I hook my tube up, I put my backpack on, I just go, and that's just the way it is. So I
Yeah.
kind of flip between like I'm just going to take care of this, and this is just how life is, and I'm going to deal with it, to I'm paralyzed with fear about what is about to happen to me that I can't control. So just to share that.
No, that's a fantastic answer. I'm trying to think through how I would think about that. Is it the case that you're in medicine, that the sorts of remedies that might be offered by advanced medicine kind of calm your fear in terms of the feeding tube, in terms of
Yeah,
like this
yeah.
present experience?
I think I had a sense of security and trusting the physician, the specialist that I have that said this is a really good option and this is what we need to do. I felt better after being on the feeding tube, and so that feeling better was like, okay, well, I can just handle this, and it's something that I can control, kind of back to that control piece. Like I know how to manage it, and if I stay on the tube and I don't eat certain things, then I'll be okay. I think
Yeah.
then where I am in this like really big sense of fear is I have a great deal of trust for the physicians and the surgeons that are going to do this procedure. There's going to be 12 hours of time that I can't control any of it
Yeah.
because I'm under anesthesia. And that is hard for me to not be able to say, okay, I can take command of this situation and just run with it because I won't be physically able to.
Think more about sixes in control. So this would be more of a lineup with eight, nines, and ones. The agency autonomy, having a sense of personal oversight. These are all very important to those types. And again, an overlap with eights in particular. But I need to think about how sixes experience the need for control. So that you're helping me to.
Would it connect back to like control to ensure safety? Like it is all
Yeah,
about like,
the safety is the real
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I think that would work.
Okay.
So that's well said. That's real well said. Speaking of, sixes often crave support, eights often crave autonomy.
I want to be trusted to be able to just be on my own and do the thing from that perspective, autonomy, but I need a lot of support. Like I'm the type of person that is very scared to go do things by myself, and
Yeah.
that's kind of part of the story that landed me in this. Maybe you go look at being a six type of space. Is I'm very insecure in going to do things by myself or to put myself in a situation where I'm around new people or I'm not sure what my place is or how I fit in type of scenarios. So I think I need support very much in that way.
When you use the term fear before and and here talking about being scared or insecure, are
Mhm.
those different in your mind
I'm sorry, is fear different than what?
than
Insecure?
being insecure or scared of, you know, of acting in the ways described?
Yeah, yeah, I think yes. So in the way, like if I use these two scenarios, so I am scared of what can happen to me in this surgery that I can't control, and something horrible could happen. I'm very scared of that in my body. I
Mm-hmm.
feel that so physically.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side, the kind of story that I had told Katie was about getting invited to a party and only knowing one person there. And I trust that person and love that person very deeply. And so I felt safe and kind of showing up to that, but was nervous about going by myself. And when I got there, not being very well welcomed by the group of individuals that were also there that I did not know. And that gave me insecurity. That made me feel like I didn't know what my place was in that group. I didn't know how I fit in. I didn't know how I contributed. I didn't know if folks were going to make fun of me or not like
Yeah,
me or whatever those that so two different feelings, I think,
that's
between
perfect.
fear and insecurity.
Yeah. Really worth naming just in terms of sixes and eights, and it may not come out in the chart, but just how relational a lot of your answers are. Not that eights can't be relational, but that's not going to be as primary in my experience
Yeah.
as the way that you're articulating it in terms of this is the there's so much of the wanting to land in the relationship that's
Yeah.
part of your language. So,
It's very
um,
important to me. Relationships are.
bing.
So
Um, this will be something just really worth saying about like where happiness is found specifically for twos, fours, and sixes. All of us want relationships, but in terms of like, am I just feeling good in the world? Principle for twos, fours, and sixes can be that space.
yeah.
That's worth naming. For eights, just in case there's those who are trained to think through sixes and eights, eights often will value relationships, but oftentimes it's what am I accomplishing? Will can really be a primary in terms of am I happy? Am I landing where I want to land? There's much more of an action, exerting your will in the world element to the 8.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
6s often desire protection. 8s often refuse protection. Do either of those hit you?
Protection on my terms, for sure. Yeah. Like if I feel safe with you and I trust you and I'm comfortable with you, then yes, I want that. Not even you, I'm saying you, but I mean even in a
Mm-hmm.
system or in an environment, then I want that protection. But if I question it, if I find a crack in there, then I will shut down and distance myself from it.
Yeah.
I'll take care of myself then.
It's a good distinction there. And it goes back to some of that testing the authorities was
Yeah.
part of our conversation
Yeah,
earlier
yeah, yeah,
that can come into the behavior of
yeah,
6s. It's
yeah,
good.
absolutely.
Again, these are just often lesser or more, but 6s often maximize dependency. 8s often minimize. Does that language resonate with you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think my desire to check in, to validate, to make sure we're okay, to make sure I'm in a safe space. That's not the way I wanted to say that, but yeah, I feel more of a dependent person than not.
This ends up being so sometimes in Enneagram world, some of the real virtues and gifts that 6s bring to the rest of us aren't as well articulated as they need to be, but you're putting your thumb on one for me in terms of oftentimes we love people the way we want to be loved. And I imagine that in your spheres, you are perhaps looking for this from others, but I imagine that you're a reservoir for others who are looking for, assurances, somebody they can trust, somebody they can feel comfortable around, somebody who's going to create the space for them. These are all just high values for some of us really need that.
I hope so. I hope I can be that for someone.
Well, it seems like that would go alongside the medical work
Yeah,
and your
true,
your
yeah,
work with
yeah,
LGBTQ
yeah.
youth, especially at a time like this. I don't know if you know this. My oldest is non-binary, and the way that their safety mentally is, they're really struggling, as has been
Yeah,
said
sure.
in the last 10 years, but specifically the last few years. Who can I trust is a
Hmm.
huge thing for a lot of people. I imagine 6s
Yeah.
are fantastic at establishing those atmospheres that are really necessary right now. Big. Thanks for letting me just go off on
Sure.
my little
Yeah.
tangent
No.
there about how
Thank you.
amazing you are. So,
Feels awkward, but thanks. I appreciate it.
so we'll talk about 6s and receiving compliments also.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's going to move you into a different space. 6s often question others' motives. 8s often impose their own motive.
Question. Yeah.
6s often defend against chaos. 8s can often thrive in chaos.
I think I find that I do well often in some cases of ambiguity or kind of chaotic environments to figure out what to do and to how to pull people together. But again, back to what I said earlier, I do when I can, as much as possible, try to get ahead of fixing things or before the chaos would happen.
Well said. Really well said. 6s often hide behind questions. 8s often defend behind confrontation.
Probably hide behind questions, but I will get really defensive if I feel like I'm under attack
Yeah.
or like what I've said is not trusted or something like that. I will defend my position.
Yep. So this again, I just from an outsider view, the 6ness is just all over how you're coming to the world, and yet this would be one of those examples of why the mistype may have occurred. Is just because you do have it feels like you've done enough work to be confident enough to assert yourself in certain situations,
Yeah.
and those may color like how you're answering things on a prompt,
Sure.
as it were.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that makes
well,
sense.
and that's also again a real testament to your level of health, because that's not always true of a lot of 6s. They haven't been able to get to those spaces. So well done.
Thank you.
6s often struggle to decide. 8s often struggle to yield.
I think I did struggle to decide without others for sure. So,
6s often push others to validate. 8s often push others to step up.
validate. Validate for sure, but also I am someone who has really high expectations of myself
Mm-hmm.
and then therefore have very high expectations of others.
Yeah, bleeds over.
So there is a little bit of that step up piece in there, I think.
There's again, like just given your role specifically, it sounds like vocationally that this is kind of required.
Yeah. Well,
For
and
who
I
you are.
think even part of growing up being a dancer too, like everything about like criticism. Yeah, I mean, when you're in front of mirrors and everything about you that needs fixed is being pointed out, then there is just this constant mode of stepping up, stepping up.
Yep,
And so I think that that is just so deeply ingrained in me.
that's
My
excellent.
my inner dialogue is very critical and often not the kindest. And so I think that that can come out as well sometimes in my communication style with others if I don't check it.
I want to say that there's something here to be said about the sixes move into secure spaces, and when you are elevating your physical self, and I'm hearing this in terms of how you're talking about dance, that is a secure space. Engaging your body in that space and elevating the skills of others. These, in my mind, are a great overlap of what it may look like for sixes to get into more secure spaces. I say that only in that I think six is maybe the number that has the hardest time getting into secure spaces. And the clue here is like, where do you feel your body? Where are the places where your body actually feels not just strong, but as though you're engaging the world in a physical way. So a lot of sixes feel great when they get into nature, for example, and the calming that comes there. And these
Yeah.
are well worth exploring for other sixes in terms of moving out of your head, as it were, allowing your physical self to really intuitively take in the world. These can be ways to be more balanced.
Yeah, that really resonates. The connection to my body and then nature are two things that I is when I feel the most at ease and secure. I mean, that was we very intentionally sought out with my surgeries in Minnesota, a house to stay in. I've got to stay out there for 8 weeks after the surgery to be there for immediate care, but a house that was like close to parks and close to nature so that I can be outside and be in that
Yeah.
space to heal. And that was really important to me.
That's excellent. It's another permission, like preemptively for the six, preemptively setting yourself up so that
Yeah.
the movement to physical spaces is a real option. That's wise. For sixes, thinking can be taxing. For eights, emotions can be taxing. Do you find emotions taxing at all?
But I don't know what to do with them. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. There
But
you go.
but I think it is again because I take in a thought and I attach an emotion to it. And so I don't know if it's the data point, like of the thought that I'm finding taxing or the emotion that I've attached to it taxing. But trying to process through those two things is difficult for
Yep.
me. And then I think is what can limit me on moving to a productive resolution.
And that's it. It's the thinking that needs to be productive, not
Right.
necessarily
Yes.
feeling
Correct.
that's productive. So that's
Correct.
well said. Sixes often ask for permission. Eights often dare others to stop them.
Permission.
There can be that reckless side, though. I imagine
Yeah,
that
yeah,
could
sure.
maybe come out occasionally. Sixes often fear being blamed. Eights often expect resistance.
Um, yeah, being blamed and am I blamed in a way that then affects the relationship? So am I blamed in a way that now puts me at a different footing than I was before is a great deal of concern for me.
Really important to, again, eights can obviously value relationships, but just how much the relationship matters to you in that kind of answer is really
Yeah.
the key
Yeah.
in terms of sixness over eightness. Sixes often brace for impact. Eights will often hit first.
Yeah. It depends on the situation.
Right?
um, but I think probably more so on the impact side, but it again depends on the situation.
Yep. Sixes often read emotions. Eights often dismiss emotions.
I think I am very intuitive when it comes to other people's emotions. I can get lost in what to do with them and how to respond to them appropriately, but I do pick up on them.
Yep. The taking in the world through your head. So this will be just a common thing. The six takes the world in through their cognitive center, but doesn't engage the world through thinking. They engage the world through that combination of emotions and action. And as you're saying it, that's how that looks to materialize. Just the, again, very feeling and action oriented is how the behavior will come forth.
Yeah.
Sixes are often aware of their feelings. Eights often translate feelings into anger.
I am very aware of my feelings.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from you on the anger front.
Yeah, it's there. I can be fiery and I can be quick to anger, but when after it happens and after I kind of go back and think through the situation and think through where I've gone sideways, again, that kind of coming out of me sideways, it is always rooted in I got angry because I was unsure of myself, or I was insecure with myself, or I didn't know how to process through the situation, or I didn't know how to handle it. And my inner frustration around that then turns into an outward display of what was probably can be described as anger, but it's more so about myself at the end of the day and my inability to figure out how to handle a situation.
Yeah, that's interesting. As well said.
And if things don't go to, Mark has a great story about we went on a trip to Savannah. It was our very first trip to Savannah, and I needed a vacation. I had in my mind how that vacation was going to go, and it didn't go that way from like night one, and I lost it because I couldn't reconcile that I had visioned something and planned for something that I really needed, and the fact that my vision wasn't happening, so I get stuck in that space a lot, and that's where a lot of my anger will come out. I've prepared for this, and I've seen this for myself, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's again, well said. Sixes often work through contradictions. Eights often think consistently.
Contradictions, for sure.
Right? Sixes often react. Eights often strategize.
React.
Sixes often act with precariousness. Eights often act with certainty.
Precariness.
I do think the pause really matters here for the reasons that we're going to be saying. You've done work here. So
anyway. Thanks. Yeah, I would say that there are the strategy piece. What was that? Oh, react or strategize. Again, I think I think a lot, and so sometimes I think I'm strategizing because I'm thinking about it a lot, but it's not actually strategizing because I then struggle to put it into action, right? So, but it is, I can misplace the constant churning of thoughts in my head as productive behavior.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about it, so then I must be doing something about it when in reality I'm not. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're saying that perfectly. The thing that your type, my type will have the most difficulty with is productive thinking, and that is doing the assessment, trusting your judgment, and just allowing it to get unleashed in terms of action.
Yeah.
So I feel that in terms of like same story, like I'm a professional philosopher. I've got a graduate degree. You would think that my thinking would be shored up, but it's in these spaces of really doing the productive thinking that I can really struggle.
Yeah.
Last one is sixes often surrender their power to the group. Eights often surrender their power to nobody.
To the group. Yeah.
And I love that I mean, it's really helpful actually to show how tests can get it wrong and why.
Yeah.
As we play out how sixness may come across on the page as having more 8 attributes. And yet once you start to discuss it, you can see, nope.
Yeah.
So
being a 6 is complicated.
Right.
So we're all complicated.
But very valuable to go down that road of looking at the two. Any thoughts, any questions on sixness before we
I think that
close?
the one thing that I struggle with the most, and I'd be curious to get your thoughts on this, is the idea of faith for sixes, and faith, not connecting that to religion, but to more of like, there is more than I've experienced and more than I know in the world type of faith. And that's where I find myself struggling a lot. And how do sixes kind of get to the middle there on just feeling that faith and security and certainness of self and that the world's going to be okay? That might be a question for the end of a conversation, but
I think you're outlining that well. And to be honest, that would be something I really want to do more work on myself. Our last book, the book is part 1 of 5. Our last book is going to be on virtues, and one of the traditional cardinal virtues is faith. And trying to get into that space matters. I think you're putting your thumb on what it probably is going to look like. There's going to be some measure of the ability to trust out of your will and making that a choice. Like I'm choosing to trust.
yeah.
And when I choose to trust, I will determine in my soul that this is the path I'm moving down.
Okay.
I know what it's like to have faith in my relationships, where even though I'm not with, my spouse, I trust her judgment. I don't know how it works in terms of thinking about like the world situation right now, because some things are breaking, and some things, like I imagine you and I might be on the same page here. Is like some things need to be screamed about right now.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm not interested in having faith that everything's going to work out, because I've read history books, and sometimes things collapse, and lots of people suffer. And so I don't think that that's what the faith is about. It's probably about something else.
Yeah.
So I would be curious. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Not on the world part, because I don't know how to solve that, and it pains me to no end. So there are times I just have to tune out, because I can't deal with the fact that I can't jump in and do something about it on a large scale. I can on my kind of cosm. But I liked what you said about choice, though, and I think that that's probably where I'm going to find the work is for me, and really being dialed into intentional choice around faith and finding how I discover that. Like, I'm going to choose to believe that it's going to be okay, because there's more than I know, and I'm going to let it play out. I've not figured out how to do that yet. So I think that's, I liked that you called that particular piece out.
I suppose the last note, as you're speaking, what's coming to my mind is that I actually do have faith in character, that if you live well, that's the best possible way to be in the world, that you'll eventually be happiest if you aim your full self at being courageous, at being wise, at being loving, at being gracious. I have real faith that if that's where I play my hand, that will be the best possible life I could have led. And I suppose I land hard on that one.
Yeah, I love that. That feels good.
Well, it's a good place to wrap up. Brenden from Ohio, it has been a delight meeting you.
You as well.
It's unspoken, but I want to just put language to it. You couldn't give me a better compliment than having listened to our work and pursued me to have this conversation. As a 6, entrusting yourself to my judgment, to this interview, whatever I might do with it, that is as strong a compliment as I could receive. And I just want to name that, if you can, if you understand what
I do. Thank you. And thank you for all that you do. I mean, it really was your podcast and your work that opened me up even further into wanting to dig into myself. So I'm super appreciative of what you're putting out. So thank you for that.
Excellent. So, let's keep in touch.
Absolutely.
Just I'm easy to find. I would love to hear from you and your journey as you're doing all the things. And I'm absolutely cheering for your work, both in medicine and what you're doing for LGBTQ youth. And so just full support here from Colorado.
All right. Appreciate it. All right. Thank you so much.
This is Jeff. Thank you for listening to this interview. If you're interested in finding the mistyping guide that we used, it is in our new book, Around the Circle. This is exclusively on Amazon.com, and the link is in the show notes. If you or someone you love has struggled for a while to find your type and you're interested in speaking with us, you can connect with us on Instagram, or if you are a member, you can message us at aroundthecircle.org. We are cheering for you. May all good things be yours.